Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Welcome back to. Hey, cool. We're live on YouTube. Yesterday, Thursday's actually turning into a nice regular quiet day for me. Post TRI meetings that we have first thing in the morning on Thursdays. So nice getting settled into slower work routine, I think. Got my TAs doing more work in the classes, so life's pretty casual for Brian these days. But as you can see, we had Julian, TRI principal, we had his baby powder report on the Daily Brief yesterday. So I hope everybody enjoyed that offering. We had about an hour and a half this morning here with the good people. People were looking forward to a chock-full rant. Brian, for Friday, getting it ready for the weekend. I think they got their money's worth. As we can tell from our breadth indicator, market's just not really overly happy right now. And across the board, we're seeing that. So yeah, that's one thing I do like about the tools that we're putting together. They sure are helping us see the market a little clearer. We had talked recently, what usually happens is the bond market starts to get unhappy, interest rates start going up, and then people start saying things like, well, given the higher cost for operating margins, blah, 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 maybe we should sell some equity, maybe the growth prospects start waning. And you start to see things like the Dow roll over, the S&Ps, and the Euro index. I'm not quite sure how I'm interpreting. I don't know whether our data of TSE is actually accurate or not, but it's interesting to see how these broader commodity indexes are still behaving relatively well. One thing I did notice, which actually surprised me a little bit, but notice how like the big indexes, they're all rolling over, the big stocks, they're not happy. The one part of the market that's really happy, and it makes perfect sense, given what we're seeing with things like GameStop and Dogecoin. I mean, it makes perfect sense. But it's the junior market that's all nutso crazy still. Jesus, look at this stock market just falling out of bed here, the broader market. Actually, look at that beautiful failure on the Canadian stock market right at that old high. See you later. So they're not happy whatsoever. But you can see sort of, even U.S. market, mid-market, nothing really to get excited about. But check this out. Scroll down to the venture cap market and look at all this green here. What the hell's going on down here? So, that, it's still that kind of funny sector rotation into all these little junior names. It's still going on. And also, too, like I said, you're seeing that in cryptocurrencies as well. Gold market, the metals market seems to be a bit firmer. We're still in these big sort of silver stock proxy trades. Haven't hit objectives yet. Just working away, just doing their thing. I think I told you, like back here, my number one job at this point was just don't do anything here. Don't fuck it up. And that's, usually what happens. Like oh no, this is heading down. You better get the hell out of there. And then, oh, no. And then, okay, well, FOMO, maybe. And then, boom! And it just jumps. So, I'm long. I'm in there. I ain't touching it. And, of course, good part about this trade now, we've had moves stop to trailing level hits. So if I do start getting some M's that come in here, I'll probably hop off. But this trade now should not lose money, right? We should actually make money from trading on this trade. So that's a good thing. And of course, we have our AOCO orders working at our levels. Should those levels be traded to, we just silently exit the trade and count our profits. Market's kind of wishy-washy, eh? It's interesting to see all the blockchain stocks all jumped up on the open, and I went through one by one with the good people here today, and even the Bitcoin ETF for that matter as well. I mean, they all jumped on the open. But you can't take this trade. This trade's a trap, right? Fuck, if you bought that right on the open, you'd be dying 1,000 deaths right now. You have to wait for the W on the other side of the trend line. So I don't know what it's going to look like if this is a buy. And you can see it. Doesn't matter whether you look at it, the ETF, or whether you look at the individual stocks. Breaks out. Oh, gaps open here, and it's just been straight down all day. Right? Gaps open here, straight down all day. Oh, that's been fun. Look at this. HUT's actually now down on the day. Interestingly enough, though, this guy does have a W on the other side of the trend line. So of all of them, this one actually probably looks the best. It's just kind of funny. But not overly exciting. That's not the kind of stuff I'm too super jazzed about. And of course, remember, I'm super jazzed when it's down doing these W's and this kind of stuff. Key reversals. Wow. And that's the end result. So, I don't know. Where should we take this conversation with you guys? This is messier than hell. There's no doubt about it. I think everybody this morning was just totally ready for just absolute moonshot here out of crypto, but it looks like probably risk is coming out of the market here right now. You know, the risk takers are getting a little bit scared, and I think that's finally spilled over into crypto here now. But, you know, of all the risk assets out there in the world, I gotta say the crypto market actually probably looks the best right now. So go figure. These guys, at least they're somewhat green. Like I said, there's some parts of the market that's getting absolutely ripped here. You know, like this part of the market here, community picks, right? Well, that's not a very happy day. So, you know, it's we're at the very end of a long run here. Actually, interesting, we did January report. Kevin and I were talking about it. We'll do a report on our blog for this in the not-too-distant future. But January barometer here, we're not ending the month of January on a very strong note. Usually, you know, this looks to me like a typical September-October crash in the market, but I'm not seeing any kind of bottom coming in here. It looks like they tried desperately, and then whatever rally attempts just completely fizzling here. So I'll tell you, that's actually probably what I'm expecting for the year. You'll be surprised how accurate these reports are. So we'll be doing up a report on this end, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. And you know, right out of the gate, you know, when the equity market opened up, first hour of trading, I mean, it was just avalanche of sell orders right out of the gate. So that's really what we should expect at the beginning of the year. So is February just an absolute mess here like last year? Could be. Be forewarned, people. You know, and of course, if you know, just like, you know, HUT, can I come in on the buy side up in here? No, this is like barstool investing stuff. And now what are they doing? Now they're all getting all pissed off about GameStop and all that kind of stuff. That's not the kind of market that I would consider buying. In fact, actually, what are the kind of things that I did buy? I bought a little bit of this thing here. Like, you know me. You know the type of investing that I do. That's not a bad risk we're taking. But do you think anybody in the public, do you think Barstool guy would be even the slightest bit interested in a name that looks like that? Nope. I can pretty much guarantee you it right now. So that's the kind of place where I'd put money to work. Actually, I went and bought this one yesterday off of this double bottom. I'll risk to these lows. There is my risk window. And, you know, if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. But you can see it's not really doing anything. It's down 5.5% on the day. Hey, way to go, Brian. Nice trade. But I don't mind. You know, that's a very realistic risk for me to step in on. Looking for a move back up top here. See if I can get some free stock on doubles and all that kind of stock. All that kind of talk. So anyway, you know, like tough builds, we told you all about loading up here. Now it's here. Can't touch it now. If anything, if you want to buy, you got to draw your reload zones, work your stink bids against the low end of the range. Probably get a fill on that gap fill right there. So You know, I suppose, interestingly enough, like within the crypto space, there are some fun little ideas. But buying the big stuff right here, it's got trouble written all over it. As you can see, there's my crazy downtrend lines. If this really is a bull, I want to see a W on the other side of this trend line. Now, on this thing, you can actually see we're back below the trend line now, sons of bitches. So, go slowly here. I don't know whether I really think there's any buy signals here. I think, as you can see, I did squiggly line theory, sort of saying, what would a new buy look like? If we can't get above this trend line, then one low, two lows. If I can get a nice W over here, three lows, sets up bots, 25% of that range, looking for probably a stab up top here. Okay. But there's just nothing there to work with for me just yet. Just gotta let it develop. And of course the insanity in Ethereum right now. Up and down like a horse drawers. What I'm really worried about here, and this scares me immensely, so much so that I even put like tweets out saying, please, you're walking into a trap here. It feels as though like this whole GameStop stuff, I think this actually was all manufactured. Why? Because Wall Street wants to get all of you millennials into things like Ethereum, and by default into DeFi, right? Because you got to go through Ethereum to get into DeFi. They want you to get into there and buy and bid price up as high as you possibly can into their big CME event. I mean, it's almost cliche the way this is playing itself out. Except for I can't find the goddamn tweet. I guess that's cliche too. Yeah. Anyway, I guess maybe I was tweeting to myself or something in here. But somewhere in here I was kind of like, yeah, right here, right? I mean, honestly, this is how I feel. I can see their plan here. The millennials now, they hate the system. And they're going to run into DeFi. And what scares me is there are DeFi players here who are just, they're stoking this fire. Anyway, to this gentleman I replied, he and I were talking back and forth. And I had another tweet on here where it's like, this is what I'm really worried about here, is I think that the gamers think that they're gaming the system. When in reality, the system is actually gaming the gamers into thinking that they can game the system. And it scares me because it just feels like there's a big honking trap being laid here. This kind of stuff. This has got disaster written all over it. You really think Wall Street's going to sit by and just say, all right, DeFi, yeah, you just go ahead and eat our lunch and take all our business and we don't give a fuck. Seriously? And, to add insult to injury, right, there actually were previous sites and previous experiences in the crypto space where they tried to do this, and the U.S. regulators came along and said, all U.S. citizens get the fuck out or you're going to shit on your head. And it's sort of like a big rinse and repeat. Now, can they pull off this without the U.S. participation? Maybe. I did find it interesting, like Justin Sun was tweeting out from Asia, hey, we'll go and buy all the GameStop stock over here in Asia and we'll drive the price through the roof and screw those American hedge funds. So, who knows? But my hunch is that Wall Street's not going to sit idly by and let this kind of thing happen. And they own the politicians in Washington. So, just be forewarned. When this thing does unwind, I could see a big, ugly mess on the other side of this. Which is typical, right? Because it's the big, ugly mess, right? Like, if we pull up the old corn chart, and you try and figure out, okay, what was it that actually cleaned this market up from, going from less than 1,000 to 20 G's. This big ugly mess, this was all about the regulators all saying, do we regulate this and blah, 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 right? When really, You could argue CME event, natural bear market, buy the rumor, sell the news, and the regulators in a weird sort of way, the politicians, they were used as a tool by the 1%, Wall Street, Rothschilds, whoever you want to say, to get the price back down into a reload zone. Here we are again. Could you see the same thing happen again? Sure, why not? I mean, this is capitalism. It's so cliche. So how did we get back down to like $12,000, $13,000? Well, you got to inject a bit of sort of regulatory foot into this space. Yeah, I pointed out to my audience on the site today, I said, we're going to put out a sort of a raffle and a sort of a poll and just sort of poll the community. Where do you think Bitcoin prices are going to top out? This might have been the top. The top might be 50 G's, might be 100 G's. No idea. And I just want to be very clear that I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to say this will be the top or that will be the top. Treat it more as fun. And the irony of it all is whatever the top is, it will probably be something so outlandish that none of us would have ever expected. That's usually how these things go. So, even in the comments field today, you want to put down what is your prediction of the top in Bitcoin. We could have some crazy-ass predictions. And somebody will be right. If you are the closest person without going over, I'll personally come and shake your hand. If you happen to live in the lower mainland of British Columbia, Canada. But, maybe we'll give you a t-shirt or something. Who knows? And see what kind of traction that gets. All of a sudden, Kevin's going to be like, oh, Brian, there's 500 people that made guesses. What? Anyway. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen here. I can't invest in a name that looks like that. You know that. Where the actual top is here, it's a mug's game. If this thing has another leg higher, I will be banging out doubles, selling halves on doubles, whatever. I mean, the irony of it all, like Doge. I certainly did not expect to see this coming. But the market will just do whatever the hell the market wants to do. Including screw up your screen. What the hell's this shit? I think that's it there. See if I can try that again. Boom. Hey! I mean, you don't know what's going to happen here. I'll tell you, the low there's like 15 sats and the high here is, 220? 10x, all that kind of fun talk. It's interesting how there's a big old gap up here at 270 that still needs to be filled in. I'm actually a bit surprised it didn't fill that in. But, here's what I do as a trader. Am I going to get into the business of calling this top here? No. Am I going to make damn sure that if this market keeps working its way higher, I will pay myself as levels come in? You bet. So right now, I've gotten 2 doubles off of this most recent car I've put on. If that's it, okay, fine, that's it. And I'll look to reload again for another car down the road. If they want to keep taking it higher, fine. Yeah, keep taking it higher. I'll sell you more coins up top. And that's the way that I approach investing. Try and force yourself to come in off the bottom. When the FOMO and the shill gets going in earnest, you're actually selling into that FOMO. If you can do that, I'll tell you, this game, it sure gets a hell of a lot easier to play. I don't know. I haven't really commented too much on our matrix because there's just not a hell of a lot to talk to you guys about here. Same old, same old. Still think the US dollar is turning here. No idea how long it's going to take or what it ultimately is going to look like. If we trade up through this 91 area here, I think she's off to the races. And, of course, that implies that I'm basically European currency bearish. Japanese yen just getting absolutely slammed here overnight. So, I can see the international trade is starting to unwind. I heard the Europeans are bitching and complaining about how their euro currency is way too high for their own liking. So I think they're getting ready to knock it back down. And if and when that does come, then that's probably the big driver for the U.S. dollar index. Because keep in mind, like I think it's like 65% is the euro. So stocks continuing to melt down. There's that 38.2 that we've been talking about. That would be normal. That would be natural. So looks like that's underway. Interesting how the oil just will not break, but man, there is a big open air gap there. You could see the oil off a huge chunk here. Bonds holding into Mr. Bond King's most recent little double bottom, so that's just working away. Of course, I talked about interest rates recently, long-term cycles. I don't, it's probably like the Bitcoin. I'm not really bearish, although I wouldn't buy either of them right now. It's just that I'm unbullish. And I do believe that the interest rate cycle has shifted. So now it might be incredibly slow paced, just as the past year or two, you really haven't noticed any movement in interest rates. I would expect the same thing over the next few years. You're really not going to see it. But I do believe the seed change has been planted, and now it's like 35 years of up rates. The good part about it is the first 17 and a half of those 35 years is very slow rate of change. The last 17 and a half years, that's where interest rates go absolutely insane. So hopefully I'll be long and dead by then. The gold and silver, we talked a little bit about that silver stock recently. Put it on, strapped it on, setup's working, don't touch it. Should make money on the trade now, so I'm feeling pretty confident about that. And on balance, I'm not really getting anything to do here out of the gold market here. Just big hurry up and do nothing. Interesting how our little junior stock market proxy here is kind of fractaling out. You could argue that's actually a loss of these lows would be a big honking 5-bar fractal. Don't know. I don't think we're ready to dump through those lows just yet. But, like I showed you on that screen, a lot of the junior Canadian stocks very strong still. But if we do lose these lows, then, you can see, look left. Probably next key support's all the way down here. So, you see the January barometer. You saw what the beginning of the year looked like. We're coming up into February. Remember what February looked like last year. You see what the stock market looks like. And you put it all together. Could we have maybe a 2 or 3, maybe a month-long window here of softness? It wouldn't surprise me. So I've already talked to you a little bit about the corn and crypto here, so there's not a hell of a lot more to add to this conversation. There is the top. If this really is a bull, I'm a bull, rah, 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 just go up and blast through that top, please. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that there was a nice, we're having fun on the site demonstrating how to trade with trend lines. So we actually did have a losing trade in there. I mean, it does happen. And if anything, statistically, I kind of like those numbers. It's batting about 80% accuracy. That's pretty good. So you can see the W's that came in on the other side of this trend line, which fires this signal, and that level's been hit now. And I kind of suggested to my audience that I would only, if we get W's on other sides of these higher trend lines, okay, fine, maybe further continuation. But I'd really only get a sell signal now if we actually am out below this trend line now. So that's, you can see, just to get back to support is there. But what I would have to see to actually get bearish now is break of that line, then a counter trend rally, then an M, and down we go. So, and we got the weekend coming up for crypto. Usually that's a pretty good time period. So my hunch is probably that's our near-term future, looks something like that, with, of course, the potential for another big pop up top. And as I said there a moment ago, I mean, really, this isn't a bull market. I'm a bull until we're up through these highs. I don't see that. What I see right now is just more range. So, enjoy the range. Home on the range. And of course, we got about a week until the big DeFi event. If anything, I would really expect them to jack this up as hard as they can into that event. If we actually see this sell off and dump, then it means something's gone completely wrong. Now, this is a CME event, so it's not really tied to Wall Street, more like Whacker Street. But you'd have to be a futures trader to understand that reference. Um, Again, I don't really want to get into the business of predicting here. This thing could do anything through here. Anything. So enjoy the ride. It's not really much new information I can give you. I did, of course, bang out doubles on that Doge. It was a pretty big win, too. So it did free up a bunch of Bitcoin in my little shitcoin trading account. So I actually did go and do some buying on names. Mr. Sutton has been barking a bit here lately. So I did go and pick up a little bit of his coin down in this reload zone here. Looked really interesting looking little trade here. I'm forever in love with Ubik and Geo. They are these funny little sort of Americans can't really trade them, so it's Trex only, so be careful with them. So I wouldn't even really pitch either of those ideas at you, but I have been buying them. And like I said, I don't mind Justin in here. I took a little nibble on him. And there are some names. There are name names. So maybe if I see a little bit crisper ideas and names to throw at you, we might take a look at some stuff in the broiler chicken show on Sunday. So, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that offering. Not a heck of a lot new, and sadly, and I even told the community this while I was talking to them this morning. It was almost exactly 1 year ago today that I had said to them that probably by the end of this whole experience, you're going to lose complete interest in listening to guys like me. Right? You're just going to go on, hey, buy GameStop, you're guaranteed to make money, who cares? To a certain degree, I sort of see that right now. And I mean, look at this nonsense. I mean, just all over the place. This is a really, really dangerous environment. And I get a funny feeling this dangerous environment's going to stick around for a few years here. It's not going away. So I think I've told you before, I really do believe this is a stock picker's market. If you can pick good quality structure, good quality names, earning streams, all that kind of fun stuff, get in where the directors are long, don't take no goddamn wooden nickels, you can do pretty well. But go slowly, have a plan, trade your setups, and of course remember what your number one job is. And actually I was a bit surprised, not very many people actually knew the answer to that question. Maybe first thing in the morning, if you do fancy yourself a trader, wake up and write down what your number one job is every single day, just to remind yourself how easy it can be to forget that and to actually see people do stuff that actually puts your number one job in jeopardy. Okay, have yourselves a great day, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.